Welcome to Ultimate Wrestling Trivia, UWT, the show. This one is going to be about the immortal one, Hulk Hogan. But before we dive into that, make sure you jump onto Pro Wrestling Tees and search Ultimate Wrestling Trivia on the Pro Wrestling Tee stores. Exciting stuff for UWT, the show. All right, well, you know, he was trained by Hiro Matsuda in 1977. That's when he made his debut, but the Hulkamania Phenom was created in Minneapolis, Minnesota in the American Wrestling Association, the AWA, and then reached unimaginable heights. Global phenomenon during the Vince McMahon World Wrestling Federation days. Probably one of the most recognizable personalities, and the rise to the top will forever live in wrestling lore. Hulk Hogan. Today's episode, you know, since we just celebrated 40 years of Hulk Hogan, what has Hulk Hogan meant to you in the wrestling world? Any quick thoughts about Hulk Hogan?
Well, I grew up a Hulk Hogan kid, of course, in the 80s. My first recollection of Hulkamania is probably WrestleMania 2, when he faced King Kong Bundy in the steel cage match.
Yeah.
Watching those Coliseum videos, though, it's kind of hard to gauge, like, when I became a fan, because we just watched him over and over again. But, of course, I was upset in WrestleMania 6 when he lost to Ultimate Warrior. But, yeah, definitely grew up a Hulk Hogan kid back in the day.
So, real quick, too, shout out the WrestleMania 2 steel cage, the blue steel cage. Absolutely love that thing. It was amazing.
The thing about Hulkamania that I guess that sucked me in as a little kid, I remember the build-up to WrestleMania 2. I didn't get a chance. The first wrestling pay-per-view I saw live was WrestleMania 3, but I do remember the build-up to WrestleMania 2 where Hulk Hogan broke King Kong Bundy, broke 6 of Hulk Hogan's ribs. And sure. They put up the address to where you could send letters to Hulk Hogan.
So the funny thing with that too, you know why they did that, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you get part of the mailing list.
Yes.
Yes.
So once you did that, you got thanks for sending Hulk a letter. Here's our WWF merchandise catalog, with 10-year-old Stephanie McMahon modeling shirts and stuff like that. So they got you that way. And I remember using my little kid penmanship, drafting the get well letter to Hulk and sent that sucker in. And I had never written a letter to Santa. Growing up, I was like, that's not important. But writing a letter to Hulk Hogan, that was important to young Mike Murray.
I mean, the times were so much different then. You know what I mean? Like, we're writing letters, and like how WWF at the time had to get people on their mailing list to send those things out. Now it's all just a click of a button. It's kind of crazy how the time has changed for sure. Well, we are going to... Actually, I want to share my thoughts on Hulk Hogan. Back in 1991, Survivor Series, this just popped in my head. Hulk Hogan lost to The Undertaker with help from Ric Flair, and then Undertaker got the heavyweight championship. I was so mad at this. We had a screen door, right?
Oh, yeah.
So there was a door, and then there was a glass door. I punched the glass door and shattered it. I was so mad that the referee didn't see Ric Flair slide the chair underneath, and Hogan lost. In Detroit, I think that was, the Joe Louis Arena back in the day. Just broke my heart.
Man.
Didn't like it at all. Another great moment with Hulk Hogan, too, taking you back to 2002 Backlash, where Hogan defeated Triple H to win his 6th WWF Heavyweight Championship. That was a big deal, and can't forget the first IWGP champion as well back in the day in 1983, I think it was.
And if you watch some of those videos, Hogan could actually go in the ring. Like, you see him doing a lot of athletic stuff when he was in Japan, not like in his WWF days when it's just, boot, leg drop, body slam, very basic, but definitely go out of your way and check out some of those tapes.
So that's a big misconception that Hogan couldn't wrestle, he couldn't work. But if you do watch those Japan things, he could do the drop kick and stuff. But I think once you find your 5 moves of doom, like Cena, it works.
Whatever works, Whatever gets over with the crowd.
what I think a lot of wrestling fans don't realize, and I didn't realize being the age that I was, Hogan, was a heel in the AWA.
He was, yeah.
So Hogan was hated and a rule breaker, but yet, talking to fans from that era, he got himself a lot of cheers as well.
And even back in those New Japan days, if you find there's a picture out there with Stan Hansen and Bobby Duncombe Sr., which got the black beard. So this is like years, like 15 years before the NWA Hogan out there. So good stuff right there. Hogan has claimed a lot of endorsements throughout the years as well. And the George Foreman grill is probably one of the most the famous things that George Foreman and Hulk Hogan shared the same agent back in the day. Hogan ran his kids off to school, missed the phone call. They called George Foreman. They said, which one will you take? George Foreman says, throw my name on the grill. $200 million later. Ooh. Yeah. You know how much what he got stuck with? The Thunder Mixer. The Hulk Hogan Thunder Mixer. $0.
I've owned a couple Foreman grills. I can honestly say I've never owned a Thunder Mixer.
Yeah. You can get those on eBay right now for $20. So it might be worth checking out.
Yeah.
All right, we are going to throw it to a guy that knows a thing or two about Hulk Hogan. Eric Bischoff joins the show this week about some wrestling trivia. Check it out.
August, Sturgis, South Dakota. 750,000 bikers. The event of all events, if I do say so myself. But what late night talk show did Hulk Hogan and myself take over, which eventually led to a tag team match with that late night talk show's host?
All right, if you know the answer to that trivia, let us know in the comments. Once again, that's Mike Merck down there, Dashing Derek. My name is Devin. Well, 70-year-old Hulk Hogan has been a constant presence around WrestleMania and the wrestling world for a long time. He's been featured in 8 of the first 9 WrestleMania main events. Do you know which one he was not part of the main event for? Which WrestleMania?
WrestleMania 9?
It was not 9.
So, of the first 8 WrestleManias?
Yeah,
Or
so
eight?
eight of the first 9. Eight of the first 9, Hogan was in the main event.
Okay.
1, he was not.
7. No, because that was
was
Hogan
8.
Sid.
Now, if you know it, drop it in the comments. It was, ready?
Because I like to think, with WrestleManias.
Here's your clue.
Macho Man? Oh, WrestleMania 4.
WrestleMania
That's right.
4,
How could
the
we forget?
tournament.
Yeah.
Yes, he battled Andre the Giant, and that was a draw. So your main event final was DiBiase and the Macho Man Randy Savage. One of the biggest pops of all time, I feel like includes Hulk Hogan on multiple levels. One, when he won the AWA heavyweight title from Nick Bockwinkel back in 1983. If you look at that match and look at the back of the crowd, they just stand up and go crazy. Just what if Hogan won that belt and they said it was okay? Like Hulkamania would have been born. How crazy the wrestling world would have been.
Yeah, that absolutely would have changed everything for sure.
And then one of the other ones, too, taking it to the Georgia Dome, WCW versus Bill Goldberg. When Goldberg finally beat Hogan, the crowd went banana.
Yeah,
absolutely insane.
They kind of hot-shotted that angle. That's probably something that they should have held off for pay-per-view. But Eric Bischoff wanted to win the ratings war. He certainly did that night. But, in the long run, did it really pay off? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, there's estimates that there was anywhere from 30 to 70 million in revenue, pay-per-view revenue missed by not having that main event a pay-per-view. Yeah. So, it is. It's different things motivate different people, and it's crazy to think how, you knew that was going to be a profitable match, but that's how important the ratings were at the time.
Yeah.
All right, now we are going to move along to Hulk Hogan trivia. Say your name, Merc or Derek, if you know Hulk Hogan trivia. What Rocky movie number was he in? Oh, Merc.
3.
He was in 3.
Thunderlips.
Yes.
Yep.
Who sang Real American?
Merc.
Derek.
Merc.
Rick Derringer.
Rick
That
Derringer,
is
yeah.
correct. Hulk Hogan played guitar for a band named what?
Derek.
Derek.
The Donnas.
The Donnas.
No.
Incorrect.
Shout out to Angelo Stefano.
Nobody? Ruckus was the name of the band. Hulk Hogan made history by becoming the first man to win Royal Rumble matches back-to-back. What years was that?
Derek.
Derek.
93, 94.
That is incorrect. Merc, you got a stab at it?
92, 93.
Oh, close. 90, 91. So very close. The NWO was formed as the unthinkable heel turned. It happened at this pay-per-view.
Derek.
Ooh, Derek.
Bash at the Beach.
Bash at the
96.
I believe that is correct.
That's correct.
In 2003, Hogan tossed on this mask and became...
Derek.
Who?
Mr. America.
Mr. America. All right, and your final Hulk Hogan trivia for today. Terry Bollea wrestled his first match under this as a disguise in 1977. What was his name?
Terry Merc.
Merc, go ahead.
Terry Boulder.
That's a tough one. No, that is not right.
Derek.
Yeah.
The Incredible Hulk.
Super Destroyer.
Ah.
We were looking for.
Wouldn't
All
have
right.
got that one.
With 40 years of Hulkamania running wild, any final thoughts on Hulk Hogan for today's show?
I think with Hogan, definitely you have it's an American story of you get built up, you get tore down, you rise back from the ashes. Hogan was not a perfect person. You know, he was essentially canceled by the WWE.
He was.
Taken off. They were able to make an amends. And I think it's overall it's good to see him back. You know, it's a complicated issue that some people will never forgive or forget, and I respect that. But I guess because of my age, I feel he's such a part of my childhood and nostalgia.
Babe Ruth of wrestling for a lot of people.
Yeah, he's on my Mount Rushmore. And I felt that he was done past his prime, uncool in WCW as that like force-fed babyface down your throat. But the NWO breathed such life into him that it was literally the hottest thing in wrestling.
Yeah, one of those things when you're speaking about Mount Rushmore, he's probably one of the only guys that can be in the WWF and WCW Mount Rushmore of wrestlers, because he had two legendary careers, maybe something like a Kobe Bryant. You know?
Yeah, and like Merc was saying, if you're 40 years old or above, yes, you look back at Hulkamania as such an iconic thing. But if you're, 30 years old or younger, you were in diapers when Hollywood Hogan was around.
Yeah, you might not understand it.
You might remember Hulk Hogan in TNA, which that doesn't really embody what Hulkamania was all about. So definitely go out of your way to check out some of those old promos and old matches. Because I think it's important to, look back at the history. Like, he's like a Bruno Sammartino for me, where it's like, I didn't grow up watching him, but I can respect and appreciate what he did for the wrestling industry.
All right, that wraps up today's show. One final thought: when you're with the NWO and when you're with Hollywood, you're just too sweet. See you next Tuesday, 6:05.